Here are three deep sleepers at quarterback heading into your 2025 fantasy football drafts. Let's start out with C.J. Stroud of the Houston Texans. Stroud is going around quarterback 20. Remember last year when people were taking him as a top 7 quarterback? Well, things have changed for sure. Look, last year, C.J. Stroud was coming off a great 2023 rookie season, but what happened in 2024? Well, in 2023, CJ Stroud was seeing defenses that were not playing both safeties high because the team had fullbacks on the field. Well, last year they cut all their fullbacks, and CJ Stroud saw what all the other great quarterbacks see: 2 safeties high, good luck finding space to throw, and CJ Stroud struggled significantly. What will be different this year? I believe that we saw CJ Stroud to be a future superstar in his rookie season. I believe the league made an adjustment to Stroud. I believe now that Stroud, like most great quarterbacks, will get his chance in 2025 to make his adjustment back to the league, and there's no reason to think he won't. Nico Collins, a trade for Christian Kirk, they draft Jalen Noel, Jaden Higgins. They have receiving options on this team. CJ Stroud also has not been much of a runner during his career. But CJ Stroud learned something in the NFL playoffs, which he played 2 games last year. Stroud ran for 42 yards in each of those games. Why? Stroud seemed to finally realize if the defenses are going to put everybody back to stop the downfield pass and keep everything underneath, they are giving me free yards to run. And it looks like the light went on for Stroud. So not only do I project Stroud to go back to being an outstanding NFL passer and producer, but I expect now the running part of that game to be opened up because he knows he could take advantage and help his team by running the football. CJ Stroud may not be a superstar fantasy producer, but there's a good chance he finishes close to the top 12 quarterbacks, and he's a massive steal at ADP. Next, Geno Smith, Las Vegas Raiders. Look, Geno Smith 3 years ago played extremely well with the Seahawks, threw 30 touchdowns, 11 picks. Those numbers kind of went down in each of his last 2 years in Seattle, so he hasn't been anything close to that career year in 2022. But I will say this. The Raiders defense, yes, they have Max Crosby, but that defense is going to be a problem. The Raiders are going to give up a lot of points to opponents, and what does that mean? They will be forced to throw the football. Am I excited about the Raiders wide receiver group? No. Jacoby Myers is fine. Tight end Brock Bowers, outstanding. Screen pass to Ashton Genty, fine. But all that said, if game script in most weeks is favorable and Geno Smith is forced to throw the ball 35 or so times, Geno Smith will put up fantasy points. Now, Geno Smith is not a major runner of the football, but he did run for 272 yards last year. 300 yards is in his range of outcomes. Not great, but it does help. Geno Smith will be at least on a well-coached team. I'll give him that. But again, it's game script and volume. That's what makes Geno Smith sneaky, and you're drafting him right around quarterback 23, 24. So you're only looking to be a backup. But he could be a real nice replacement if your starter misses time or has a bye week. If you're enjoying this breakdown, take a second, hit like and subscribe. It helps RotoWire keep fantasy advice coming your way. If you want even more of RotoWire's tools, rankings, and insights, we got a 15% discount just for our YouTube viewers. You go to rotowire.com, you choose that subscription, and use the code YouTube15 at checkout. All right, one more. Anthony Richardson. I know. He's brutal to watch. Completes less than half his passes. He's a benching risk, and I understand all of that. The good news is he's competing with Daniel Jones. So Anthony Richardson is that quarterback you want on your roster as a deep late round pick. And if you take him in that scenario, you're not counting on him for 16 games. But the weeks he starts, Anthony Richardson is very usable in lineups. He could be a week winner even if he's a bad passer. In 4 of Richardson's final 5 games last year, he averaged 23 fantasy points. That is very solid, strong production because he is a running threat. In a limited season, still ran for 499 yards and 6 touchdowns. So that's what Anthony Richardson brings to the table. It's not about passing skill. The cheat code in fantasy has always been running the football, and Anthony Richardson is right there with the best in the game of being able to pile up rushing production. So again, don't invest much in him. He's a deep backup, but if he is on the field, he could be a starter in your fantasy football lineup.